A heavy velvet curtain drawn shut. A single family crest removed from a gate. Two princesses in waiting, moving through corridors once certain and now shifting. This is the story of Princess Beatrice of York and Princess Eugenie of York, daughters of the former Duke and Duchess of York, navigating a landscape redesigned beneath their feet. Quietly, they inherit both privilege and paradox, duty and distance, continuity and change. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. In 1988, Beatrice was born. In 1990, Eugenie followed. Their father, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, younger son of Queen Elizabeth II, stood for decades as a public royal figure. Their mother, Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, occupied a familiar role in the royal tableau. The sisters entered a world of tiaras, tours, and heir expectations, not to reign, but to represent, to serve, to continue the name. That name, York, has long carried symbolic weight. Titles granted, residences held, public duties performed. Yet in autumn 2025, the architecture of that identity began to shift. In October 2025, the palace announced that Andrew would no longer use the title Duke of York, and a formal process was initiated to remove his style, titles, and honors. According to sources, he will henceforth be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. A lease on Royal Lodge near Windsor Castle is to be surrendered. These moves reverberate far beyond one man's status. Thus, the inciting event, a title relinquished, a residence vacated, a symbol removed. And in that vacuum, the question emerges: what place for the daughters of the house? What becomes of titles when the pillar beneath them shifts? First stage: the world into which Beatrice and Eugenie stepped. Public appearances as children, summer holidays at Sandringham, tours abroad. The garments, the tiaras, the subtle choreography of royal life. In this world, their father held visible responsibility. Their mother held the Duchess title. The sisters moved in the spotlight of tradition. Beatrice pursued education and work beyond the palace facade, a role beyond mere ornamental function. Eugenie likewise carved a path: education, charity, public service. The sisters, though not reigning royals, held presence. Then the second stage, the crack in the facade. Andrew's public withdrawal from royal duties in 2019, his removal of honorary roles in 2022, the mounting public and legal scrutiny. By late 2025, the decision to release his Duke of York title marked a symbolic rupture. The coat of arms removed from a gate, the York name recast. For Beatrice and Eugenie, the shock is not in the pronouncements, but in the silence around them. Their titles remain unaffected. According to the 1917 letters patent, they will retain princess styling. Yet their father's removal of his titles signals change. Reports suggest the sisters have traveled abroad, kept a low profile while the saga unfolds. These accounts remain unconfirmed. What is verifiable, their titles remain intact for now. What is speculative, their emotional position, their personal stance. In halls of Windsor, a locked door. In a study, a thick folder of letters unopened. One tiara sits untouched, its velvet case open, but empty. These are the images of Beatrice and Eugenie's present. The decisions that shape their future were made without their direct input, yet they must live with the consequences. Their confrontation is not of public spectacle. It is in the quiet of titles being reassigned, of residences being surrendered, of symbols being altered. The turning point is subtle, the moment in which their identity as princesses of York becomes caught between continuity and contingency. They stand at a threshold. On one side, the legacy they inherited, the York branch, the royal traditions, the public roles. On the other side, an uncertainty. What role will they now play? What horizon opens before them? Their titles may remain, but the weight those titles carry is shifting. Publicly, the fallout has been immediate yet controlled. Statements from Buckingham Palace affirm the status of Beatrice and Eugenie unchanged. Media reports confirm that despite their father's relinquishment of the Duke of York title, the sisters will retain their princess styling under royal rules. Polls show the public's interest remains in Andrew's fall, less scrutiny falls on the daughters. Still, optics matter. Invitations to events, public engagements, the retention of privileges. Yet there are moments of absence. A gala missed, a public appearance withdrawn. Reports claim the sisters opted out of a major cultural event amid the family's turmoil. These reports are unconfirmed, but they suggest a recalibration of presence. The two princesses are visible, but increasingly on their own terms. In the drawing room of tradition, two chairs remain set, one for Beatrice, one for Eugenie. The portraits on the wall depict ancestors who served, reigned, carried the crown's weight. Now the sisters face a different inheritance, not of crown and throne, but of adaptation. The world around them demands relevance, authenticity, and a recalibrated role. The symbolism is clear. The York name remains, but its anchor, the Duke of York title, is no longer force-bearing. The residence, once a nexus of family identity, is relinquished. The sisters retain their titles, but the frame shifts beneath. What once was stable is now unsettled. Silence becomes part of their story. They are not vocal about the changes. They do not issue statements. The lock on the door is symbolic of the threshold they cross every time they step into the light. To move forward, they must carry the legacy while letting the old frame fall away. As they engage in charitable work, in professional lives, in motherhood, they define themselves beyond titles. Beatrice as a mother, a professional, a public figure. Eugenie similarly. Their narratives widen. The tiara becomes less a burden, more a choice. The name York becomes less a guarantee, more a platform. And yet one question remains. What is the cost of retaining title when the foundations shift? What is the path for princesses whose father's public status is retracted? What does loyalty look like when the shape of allegiance changes? In the hush that follows the door's closing, we watch the two figures walk forward. The corridor is long. The light outside the window is uncertain. But they walk, slowly, steadily, distinct from the shadow they once shared. What will they become? Will they remain anchors to tradition or pioneers of a new kind of royal? How will they define their identity when the role they were born into is no longer certain? Their story is still unfolding. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of the Crown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us here on Crownverse, where royal history lives on.